Of course, land management is very important, and particularly talking on the very auspicious day of Dashera is very, very important. So I wish everyone happy Dashera, and also this week we are celebrating as a Wildlife Week celebrations. So I wish everyone happy Wildlife Week celebrations too. So friends, I will be talking more of the experience part, why it is considered like land management in the Gir landscape is considered as a globally acclaimed success story. There are various factors which is responsible, in fact, for the acclaiming as a global success. So, land management in Gir landscape, as the topic suggests, we are talking about the landscape which is called as the Gir landscape. So it must be having much bigger areas, and areas which we are talking not just sanctuary, Gir National Park and associated land, but something like 30,000 square kilometer where lions are visiting, in fact. Okay, so next. So here I would like to just inform you that in Gujarat, 9% of the total geographical area is under a wildlife PA area network. Okay, so protected area, it's very, very important aspects, which is basically it has been area is earmarked for conservation purpose basically. Okay, but we must understand the national average is something like 5%. Okay, and Gujarat PA area is about 9.7%. Okay, so total area under PA is about 16,000, which is something around 10% of the percentage wise. So 16,000 square kilometer, of which only 4,000 square kilometer is the forest area, and rest 75% area, like 12,000 square kilometer, is non-forest land. So why I'm giving you this data, that you can understand the commitment of the government as well as the commitment of the local people towards the conservation of flora and fauna in Gujarat. Now coming particularly to the Asiatic lion, this is very, very important, as that this Asiatic lion, what we say, is basically in India you can find in a Gir landscape only at present. Once upon a time, it was widely distributed in various other states of the India. Okay, it is said that last population outside the Gir landscape was present in the somewhere the present airport, Delhi airport. Okay, and after that, continuous efforts were made for the conservation in the Gir landscape. So that we will be discussing. Another aspects of importance when we talk about the lion and why the lion has got so much success in the Gir landscape is very important, that coexistence aspects of the lion conservation. It is said that the local people thinks that ki agar lion hai to hum hai aur hum hai to lion hai. In fact, we both are surviving just because that we are taking care of each other, and you will not believe large number of areas where the people working together, lion resting in the same field, people are the farmers are working in their agriculture fields. So large number of activity which is unaffected because of the presence of the lion, or lion's activity is also unaffected by the presence of the human being, and that's why it is said that ki coexistence is there, and that is why the lion conservation has got much more importance in this landscape. Okay, so this figure shows that large number of people inside and outside or nearby, they are dependent on the Gir landscape. Okay, that will be discussed. Okay, another thing which I want to tell, why lion has become so much importance. The reason is human dimension aspect. Okay, until unless people supports, particularly the local people supports the conservation efforts, you can't expect the conservation. I hope you can understand this issue very much. This is very much important, and we must understand this issue. And the reason of human dimension is that there is a great acceptance of lion presence in that area. Okay, this is very, very important. Many a times people says that even the lion kills their, the cattle, or they predates their cattle, or very moderate animals, even though they don't annoy with the lion. Okay, the reason is that the acceptance is very much accepted by the local people. There is a great level of tolerance. Okay, sometimes in Gujarati people says that कि हमने 50,000 का थाली लायन को दिया. इसका मतलब यही हुआ कि ये अगर लायन हमारा एनिमल्स को मार देता है तो मुझे इतनी गुस्सा नहीं है. इसका मतलब क्या है कि पीपल में, लोकल पीपल में टॉलरेंस लेवल वेरी वेरी हाई है टुवर्ड्स द लायन. ओके, थर्ड थिंग, आप स्केच से अंडरस्टैंड कर सकते हैं, देयर इज अ म्यूचुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग. मेनी टाइम्स व्हाट आई हैव सीन that lion do not go for the predation of the cattle, okay, of the Maldharis. When lion or lionesses sees that there is a Maldharis, okay, and many times, lion respects the Maldharis and local people, and local people also respects, the lions. Many times, their private activities are going on, mating activities, some other day-to-day routine activities going on. In that situation, there is no disturbance by the local people also. And that's why we say there is a mutual understanding. The people, local people understands the importance of lion, their activities of the lion, and lion also understands, the Maldharis and their behavior. And that's why they understand each other, they respect each other, and mutual respect is very, very important. And we have seen that there is a mutual dependence. Lion presence is there, and that's why large number of economic activities are, unaffected by the presence of the lions. And agriculture, many industries, watershed, many things, it is there because of the presence of the lion. I will be discussing in later slides. Okay, so lion, एक गुजराती में कहावत है कि और हिंदी में भी कैन अंडरस्टैंड, लाइक लायन अगर जिंदा है तो लायन है, यानी शेर है, और मर गया तो सवा शेर है. मीन्स कि लायन डेड इज मच मोर इम्पोर्टेंट देन द लायन. सो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड द लायन मीन्स, it's like lion is a religion in those areas. It's culture. It has great political values. The trade and economy is largely dependent on the lion conservation. Social values are there, moral values, ethical values, ecological values. So in nutshell, you can think of that lion is not just lion, but it has got, the very high level of human dimension aspects like the religious, cultural, political, economical, ecological, ethical, ecological, educational. So many, the lion human values are, associated with the lion conservation. This is one photograph which I wanted to show. Then when Chinese premier came to the Gujarat visit, our Prime Minister of India has taken to the, the places where, the lion diorama was there. So you can understand the importance of, this lion conservation in this area. So coming to the topic of, the conservation of the lion, once upon a time it is said that the lion population was almost about to vanish. So it was brink of extinction. Somewhere in some literature it is said it was less than 20, somewhere it is less than 50, somewhere it is around, 20, 30, something like that. Okay, so a large number of literature says so many things, but almost we can think of it was almost on the brink of extinction. And today because of, the support of the government, the support of, the local people, support of, scientists, support of the department, and then of course the able, the staffs, the frontline staffs, trackers, everybody, today's lion population has come to, very healthy population, we can say. We have, almost population which can survive for very long term in this landscape. Okay, and we have so many programs of conservation which talks about the long-term conservation of the lions in this area. Okay, so from the brink of extinction to the very healthy population, that's why it is considered as, the glorious years of the conservations. So we had, in 4 year back, for 5 year back, we had, celebrated also the 50 glorious years of lion conservation. So when we talk about the conservation, glorious years of the conservation, last 50 years, what was the most important things? One is the management. When the project started in the Gir area for the lion conservation, I must tell you that Lion project was considered as the first project in India, which is a species-based project, conservation projects in India that was implemented from the line 1972 onwards. So in 1972, the management changed from, the working of the Gir forest to, there was a paradigm shift, the working of the Gir forest to, wildlife management. So that was the first time when, working to, management terms came. So something like last 50 years, if you think of, the management paradigm shifted. Okay. Yeah, slides, please change. This I have already discussed, and say next slide. We have already talked about the coexistence. I'm sorry that I talked without changing slides. Actually, slide is being changed by the admin there in the MU. Okay, and this is the next slide. We have talked about the coexistence between the people, local people, and the lions. Next. This is I have talked about the acceptance, tolerance, mutual understanding, mutual respect, and the mutual dependence of the lion and the local people in the Gir landscape. Next. This I have talked about the lions, not just lions, but it has the social, religious, cultural, political, economical, ecological, economical, educational. So many talks, like we have already done in this aspect. Next slide. This slide I just talked about our Honorable Prime Minister when Chinese Premier visited Gujarat. He was taken to the place where the lion aroma was there, just to show the importance of lion conservation, and particularly this majestic animal in this landscape from the brink of extinction to the global success. Next. So this is the next. This is we have talked about like from the brink of extinction to the very healthy population. And now the 50 glorious years we are talking, like the paradigm shift in the management from the the working of forest to the management aspect of the wildlife. Then of course the conservation, large number of conservation issues was addressed, like habitat improvement, water management, soil and moisture conservation, prey-based improvements, and rescue and rehabilitation, conflict mitigation. So many issues, conservation issues, which is directly, indirectly, which were affected with the, conservation of aesthetic lands, those were addressed. So I must say, government commitment towards the conservation of aesthetic land, it has, like it has been addressed. The issues related to legal aspects have been addressed. Large number of, sanctuary and national parks were added in the last 50 years for the conservation. Large number of areas were improved for the land conservation, and very important aspects that last 50 years it was dealt for the people participation. Gir is considered as pioneer in the nature education programs. It is said that nature education first started in 1973, and since then it has been continued till today. So today, almost 1,000 nature education programs is being carried out in the Gir in Gujarat. And of course, I said that last 50 years, human dimension was taken very much. Okay, so based on last 50 years of the work, the population today it is more than 673. Last census in 2020. It was declared that 673 lion population is there. So today we must say that it's more than the 673 lion population. Okay, and today lions are not just in the next slide. So we have already discussed that lion population is more than 673. Next. We are discussing that at present today, like lion is not just in the Gir. Gir Sanctuary and National Park is something like 1,457 square kilometer, but lion population is much more than the this area. Next slide. Next slide. So increase in lion population within and outside PA. Let me tell you, Gir Sanctuary and National Park and Gir PA. That unit what we say it's something like 1,800 square kilometer. And in addition to that, there are around 200 square kilometer sanctuaries in the Girnar in the form of Girnar, And rest of the areas which we talk for the lion conservation is something like 94% of the land is outside the protected area. So if you see the lion population increase in the last 3 decades is very high, and particularly outside the Gir PA area is very much high. Okay, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So this is the present condition in mid. You can see the Gir Sanctuary and National Park, and the green part you can see the outer areas. The lion vegetation outside the Gir Sanctuary and National Park. So in fact, we have noticed that we have recorded also that something. Next slide. So something like 1,600 villages is being visited by the lions, and in 2020 the lion population was 673. So 1,600 villages are being visited, and something like 30,000, if you take the outer area, outer coordinate. So 30,000 square kilometer is the outer coordinates where the lion vegetation is found. It's not actual area. Actual area of lion inhabitation is less than this. Okay, but I would like to tell you that more than 94% area where the lions are moving, they are the non-forest area, non-PA area. So that is where the importance of the local people and conservation challenges are much more in those areas, particularly which is considered as a matrix landscape. Okay, next slide. So at present, there are so many like corridors through which the lions are moving outside, the Gir Sanctuary and National Park and the protected areas. The movement is not just because that they are leaving the Gir. Basically, it's like reclaiming of their lost territory. Once upon a time, the lion was roaming in much wider areas, and slowly, about 100 years back, they shrunk to the just western part of the Gir. And today again, as and when the population is increasing, they are reclaiming their lost territories. Okay, and we must understand that lion is a territorial animal. So as and when their population increases, they are bound to move somewhere near AY areas. Okay, and that is where our role comes into the picture. Okay, so we follow the process. The moment the lion starts moving towards the Bhavnagar, we have started conservation efforts in those areas. Okay, so at present also we know where the lions are moving, what corridors they are using. So those corridors are being monitored properly, rescue and rehabilitation, and so many issues are being addressed in those areas. Okay, next. So this is what I told that there are several agriculture fields, okay, non-forest area where the animals are moving, and something like 94% of the matrix landscape land is outside the protected areas, outside the reserve forest, outside the protected forest. Okay, so those areas becomes much more important for the conservation aspects, and that is why you can understand when we say the local people are very important, the agrarian people are farmers are very important for this aspects. Then you can understand why we are talking too much about these issues. Next. So this is the slide which I wanted to show. This work was done by the Dr. Nazarin Zehra when she was doing PhD in the Gir. So this was simply to understand what is the level of conflict, and this is how we manage our the conflict issues outside the Gir protected areas. So seeing the villages where maximum vegetations are there, the sensitivity of the villages, we have started deploying our constructing our rescue and rehabilitation facilities, our habitat improvement work, corridor improvements, and the training programs, nature education. So all conservation efforts we are trying to extend to the areas where the lion vegetations have increased. So this was a wonderful work done by the Dr. Nazarin Zehra as a student in the Gir PA. Next. So till now, what we have talked lion is very important in this landscape. Second, we have glorious 50 years, 55 years of the conservation efforts, and as a result, the lion population from the brink of extinction has come to the the healthy population. Okay, and now what we are going to talk more in the coming slides is basically uh, because of the conservation efforts, we have a large number of challenges for coming years, and those issues we must we must deal. And the importance of challenges, importance of conservation, and the challenges is very important, because this landscape which we are talking is called a legacies landscape. Legacies has great relationship with the all human dimensions in the this landscape. Okay, so the problems which we are talking, what may face in the coming years, the very important is the ownership and tolerance level. Like the ownership and tolerance which we have got in last 50 years, are we going to get similar kind of the tolerance level or ownership of the owning that lion is ours? Okay, or the dependence or mutual respects and all these things, what we have got in the last 50 years, the similar tolerance level we are going to get in the coming years or not? That is very important, and that's why our conservation efforts has to be put much more thrust in those directions. Second thing, multiple land use of matrix area. Let me tell you, in initial years of the conservation efforts, lions were in the something like 700 square kilometer in the western part of the Gir area, Gir Sanctuary and National Park. Then the sanctuary was declared, then national park was declared, and slowly the many more protected areas was declared. So from 700 to something like 1400, then 1800, then a time came that we increased the management efforts in the form of Greater Gir, and at present we are managing land in the landscape, because large number of uh, uh, lions are in the matrix landscape, and those matrix area which we are talking has a multiple use. It's not just like the forestry or agriculture or industries. It has gotten a multiple use, and that's why the importance or challenges are much more in this. Then policy and legal issues are going to come into the picture, as we have seen that eco-sensitive zones, and then many more like legal issues which we are, as and when we are facing, we are trying to sort out these issues. And another very important aspects which I want to discuss you is the economic aspects. Let me tell you, whatever we talk, that human dimension is very important, but my experience says that economy is very important aspects of the human dimension in the conservation part. Okay, that we can see later on also. So when we think of landscape management, three very important aspects comes into the picture. One is land unit, second part is the stakeholders, and third is interactive ecological process. So all these three things has to be seen into in the future as a unit, and that's why then only we will able to manage the landscape. Okay, land unit, as I said, that when the population is increasing, we need bigger areas for the land conservation. As and when we move from the Gir Sanctuary National Park to towards Bhavnagar side, towards Amreli side, towards Gir Somnath, to last to last year we have seen also that lion have moved to the Rajkot and to Surendranagar, which we never thought of, in fact. Okay, in 2015 I wrote one book that is the majestic lands of Gir. There I wrote that one day you can see in coming 6-7 years that you can see that lions are somewhere found in the Bhal area. So that time when I was writing this, I thought that people may laugh, but today we are finding the lions in the Bhal area of the Bhavnagar. So the movement is very fast. Another aspect which is interactive ecological processes, like when we talk large number of units, so the agriculture, the industries, the tourism, economy, and so many aspects of the horticulture aspects, the mango farming, so many things are coming into the picture. So what is important, that ecology and interactive ecological the process, that process has to be taken care. we should not just talking about the land conservation, land conservation. We have to see the land conservation with the ecological aspect, economical aspects, or other human dimension. So that is very, very important. So landscape management, three key important we have already discussed. Land units, interactive ecological process, and stakeholders. So land units within the landscape, such as forests, grasslands, wetlands, agriculture, pasture, etc., would constitute the first components, followed by the understandings, like of the interactive ecological processes in this landscape. So these are very, very important aspects. Next. So whatever values we talk, it is predominantly affected by the economy, and that's why many a times I have advocated also that we must move to the green economy in this landscape. If we just talk about land conservation in the area, that is not good. We must talk land conservation with the economic aspects, with the the human dimension, human values, and it should it should work together. That conservation efforts must work together with the economic vehicle for sustainable development. That is what I wanted to say. Green economy has a strategy to end the persistence of the poverty. Okay, we can't think of just land conservation. We must tell the people what benefits you are going to get from the land conservation, and that is what we have done in the coming years, in the past few years, and then coming years also we are going to do it very importantly. Okay, so new economic paradigm that can drive growth of the income and jobs while reducing the environmental risk. And what are those things? Why we are telling that society, environment, and economy, all these three pillars are important for the growth. And when we take all these three pillars, that is becomes part of the inclusive green growth. So we must move towards the economic inclusive green growth. And how we can visualize this green growth? Like once upon a time, we were just talking about the conservation in the lion centric. Okay, then rather than we started talking about the Gir PA, the Greater Gir area. Now we are talking about the aesthetic landscape. So in that landscape, we have to talk about interactive ecological process, watershed, irrigation, organic matter, land fertility, and many other things, like biocontrol. Biocontrol of blue bulls and the wild boars, those animals which are actually creating conflict to the farmers. Those animals are being controlled by the lion conservation or lion. Okay, so those things we must tell to the people. Next. So the sectors or the sectors of the green growth we must take care is the industries, agriculture, energy, horticulture, tourism. So many the sectors can be associated with this inclusive green growth. Okay, why I'm telling you? Let me tell you. Gir has 7 perennial rivers. So many the dams are there, and many a times water comes out from the Gir landscape or Gir areas. They have those water have the high amount of the organic matters, high amount of calcium, and so other animals, so many elements. So those elements in fact provides the fertility to the farmers land. So that those things we have to talk in the coming years, coming time. This is the study which we wanted to discuss with you. Like when we move from the Gir Sanctuary National Park to outer side, the cost of production of the milk, cost of the production of the crops like sugar cane, then mango, and then castors, and so many other cash crops. It is increasing. So this is just next slide. This is just to show you that percentage of irrigation area decreases as and when we move from the Gir to the further areas. Okay, so nearby the Gir PA area, the percentage areas which is under irrigation is around 75%. 5 kilometers away from the Gir is something like 62%. So as and when we move from the zero around the Gir PA to the 5 kilometer to 15 kilometer to 25 kilometer, the percentage of the irrigated lands goes down. We have recorded rainfalls also nearby. The Gir Sanctuary National Park average rainfall is slightly higher than the significantly higher than the farther areas. Okay, next, the milk production cost. Next, the milk production cost. The Saurashtra and also Gujarat is having very important economy in the fall milk production. Okay, so what we say, that milk production is the cost of milk production is very low nearby the Gir area. And also, one research study has been done by the WII and many times by IAB also, that the Maldhari is getting much more benefit. Okay, being residing in the Gir landscape or in Gir areas, the main reason is they get compensation, they get free fodder and grasses for the animal husbandry and all these things. Okay, so milk production cost is very low in the Saurashtra. The large number of lands are under grasslands productions. Okay, tourism is another aspect. Okay, so there are so many sectors which we can touch in the coming areas for the the land conservation. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so now coming to the one festival I am talking, this is very important, because one of the questions was asked that time. Okay, what was important, that we celebrated mango festival for the lion conservation. So people may think that how the mango festival is related with the lion conservation. Friends, let me tell you some of the things. Like there are, it is said that more than 1,000 crore rupees economy is there for the mango, and there are particular kind of mango found that is called the Kesar Keri, and the Gujaratis diaspora are in large number of countries. So those mangoes are being exported to those countries also, and this variety gets a special kind of gives a special kind of flavor that is called kesher. That flavor is just as a result of the diphic interactions of this genetic interactions of this species with the edaphic factor, soil and moisture. So if you plant this kesar mango somewhere outside the Gir landscape, you will not be getting that kind of flavor. Okay, so that's why this has been declared as a kesar keri has been declared as a like geographical indicators of this area. Okay, so people says why we are. People ask also, and the same question was asked there, that why people getting so much production of mango in that area. Oh, the world best productivity is of cotton in that area. Castor productivity is very high. Sugarcane productivity is very high. So एक पूछा किसान से किसी ने पूछा कि भाई व्हाई देयर इज सो मच प्रोडक्शन, तो किसान ने यही बात बताया, साइंटिस्ट को भी कह सकते हो और जो पूछने वाले थे उनको, कि द रीजन ऑफ द हाई प्रोडक्शन इज सिंपली बिकॉज वी गेट वाटर फ्रॉम द गिर, and Gir has so many lions, and lions are considered the powerful animals and powerful creatures. So once lion drinks this water and that water comes to our field, it has it becomes that water becomes the powerful water. Okay, and that's why we are getting so much production and productivity. So first instance, when we listen these things, we may laugh. Okay, कि भाई ये क्या बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर इनका साइंटिफिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग करे कि यहाँ के लोग क्या बोलते हैं, फार्मर्स ऐसा क्यों बोलते हैं, तो इसके पीछे वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड समथिंग लाइक दैट lion conservation is there, and because of lion conservation there is a conservation of the Gir landscape, and because of the Gir landscape we conserve the watershed, and because of the watershed there is a large number of water, they get conserved into the the large number of dams and so many small SMC structures and so many the farmers ponds and all these things. Okay, so the water which comes from the Gir area, that brings world's best the calcium deposits in those areas, the potassium in deposits in those areas, and also organic matter, large number of organic matters from the Gir areas, and that causes enhanced productivity in the nearby a farmer's land. And as we know that mango requires high amount of calcium because it is stone formation, in the mango, the calcium is very, very important. Also, sugar cane requires luxurious absorptions of the potassium, because we know that sugar cane is something like C4 plants, which has different place for the storage of the sugars and the photosynthetic aspect. So the place where photosynthesis is there, storage is somewhere else. So for the transportation, we need, the plant needs potassium in high, percentage. That's why the C4 plants is considered as the luxurious absorbents for the potassium. Also, cotton fiber requires high amount of, the calcium. The sugar cane, and then like sugar cane, this. Mungfali, the groundnut for the cell formation also requires very high amount of calcium. So we can understand, because of the land conservation, water shed is conserved, and because of the water shed, there is a huge amount of water comes from the Gir, and that brings the best calcium, potassium, and organic matter. And when these things comes to the farmer's land, the productivity is enhanced, and that's why we are getting the best quality of the kesar mango, the best quality of best production, highest production and productivity of the sugar cane, groundnut, and many others. And also, the Saurashtra has a large number of the grasslands also. The grasslands, it is considered that the Gujarat 66 to 70% of the grasslands are in the Saurashtra. Okay. So this is how we can talk about the mango festival, mango conservation, mango production with the associated with the lion conservation, and this is one of the important aspects we can talk in the sense of economicity of the local people. So this is the mango orchards. Next slide. Okay, so many crops, production and productivity we can see. I will share this slide with you all. Next. So this is slide which is talking about living with the lions. It is said that the Maldaris are very happy to live inside the PA and the nearby areas, and the simple reason they are having the better economy because of the the cost of milk production is low, the fodder and many things. In fact, disease spreads is also very, very low. Okay, next. In fact, this research was carried out by the many researchers in the Gir. Okay, on economic aspect, we have read the WII works. We have read MU, and then also another Venkat Meena also worked on the economic aspects. Okay, next. So this is another aspects I just want to highlight. How the lion conservation benefits the farmers. This population in 2000 we counted that there are 1,87,000 populations in around the Gir sanctuary in the form of the blue bull, and something like 1,80,000 populations of wild boar. And you can understand the wild boar and blue bull has the huge potential for the crop rates and crop damages. But farmer says that lion is true farmer's friend. It's my friend hai, mera dost hai. Kyun? Because these blue bulls and lions are killed by the lion, and that's why farmer becomes very happy when the lions are there in their field. They don't even need to bother about the protection of their farm in the night. Simply, lions are there; they will be taking care of the presence of lions in their field. Okay. Next. So now very important thing, as the lions are moving in much bigger areas, that's why network and connectivity is very, very important. And then now we are thinking of we are talking about the vision 2047. In that coming 25 year, what things we see we should do for the lion conservation, on the conservation of the the area landscape, so that we can have much better aspects of the land conservation in the coming years. Next, sorry. So in coming days, when we talk about the Gir landscape, human carnivore interaction is very, very important aspect, and that's why the local perception and magnitude of human carnivore interaction is very, very important. Next. So this is what we have already discussed. The large number of animals has the potential to damage the crops of the local people. Next, these crops can be this crop damage can be prevented by the lion presence in those areas. Next, the eco development project, when there were 7 projects in India, one of the eco development projects was started in the Gir also, and it is considered as a very high success of the eco development projects in Gir areas, and that is the way we are continuing this eco development project even till today. In the coming years also we have planned to continue this. Okay, so the positive overall attitude of the people is very important, and then appreciate that the services provided by the forest is very, very high, and that way these 2 aspects we must maintain in the coming years also. Next. So mitigation measures for the lion conservation, very important thing is that rescue and rehabilitation of the injured or problem causing animals is very, very important. Stringent laws and greater vigilance is very much needed, because the area of the vegetation of the lions is very high, something like 30,000 square kilometer. Health monitoring is very important. Good relations and communication with the local people is very, very important, and increased safety measures outside PA, particularly open wells. Once upon a time, out of total death percentage, 20% was like of from the lions, from the wells, falling in the wells. But with the great support of the government and public-private partnership, large number of industries came up with the for the conservation aspects, and local people also supported very high in this. So large number of the wells were secured. But even today, as and when lion moves outer areas, newer areas, these open wells needs to be secure. Okay, and important aspect that mitigation of all forest people interface is very, very important. It's just to keep up good relationship is very, very important. Okay, so in nutshell, we must say that Gir model is unique, where agrarian landscape is more than 78%. Where no direct benefit from the revenue generated through wildlife forest, yet much more benefits are people are getting because of the land conservation. Agrarian economy, cultural tolerance, and vigilance management are conducive for the carnivore conservation in these areas, this Greater Gir landscape. Okay, next. Conflict is a function of economy. Okay, so if there is much more conflict, the economy certainly it will be affected. So that's why what we have, like large number of compensations are being paid, and also we have to take care that the predominant factor, which is economy, for the considered for the conservation of this ascetic lion, should not be hampered. And branding of the interactive ecological processes is very, very important for the sustainable livelihood. As we have already said, that the mango cultivation is one of the example, groundnut cultivation. So like the branding of these products must be there. Branding of these products must be there, that these products is coming from the lion landscape by promoting the conservation rather than the hampering the conservation. And then social connectivity is very strong pillars of the conservation in the matrix land. Okay, so this is what I wanted to tell about the lion conservation in this area.